Welcome back to the Play Pouch. Joined once again by my reputable partner, Nick. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing okay, Pete. How are we?
Dandy, apart from being knackered all the time. But, yeah, is what it is. Lots of meds. Today we've got some more news articles for you because there's not really much else going on. We're both sort of biding our time for some new game releases because the ones that are out at the moment are largely pants. And yeah, so let's just dive right in. What have you got for us this week, Nick?
Well, I've got three stories that I think will interest us a little bit. There's one or two games that are receiving some big updates that we can have a chat about, even though I know one of the games is probably a game we've both kind of moved on from. But at least for me, maybe this change will bring me back a little bit. Maybe. No promises.
Okay.
And another story, which probably me and you haven't played this game, but I have heard a lot about it. But it seems like Sony's being a bit of a bastard again, that Sony can be, and they're causing problems for players on Steam, of all things, from the PlayStation. Right. So yeah, so we've got three stories for you. Okay, so let's start with the game we haven't played, probably the one we know the least about, and that's a game called Helldivers 2, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners has probably heard of, as it's meant to be one of the few good live service games, if you can believe that. It's a PlayStation console, PlayStation exclusive anyway, so it's not on the Xbox. And it's been doing really well and stuff like that, and developers have been upgrading it and upgrading their servers because it's was never expected to be the hit that it is. So everything was kind of going hunky-dory until Sony, for reasons I don't really understand. I think it was meant to be along lines of security. Maybe they wanted more control over the player base. But Sony have more or less said that at the end of the month, so the end of May, all players on Steam are required to have a PlayStation account. So it's a little strange, but that's what they've decided. And for most players in most countries, that's probably not a big problem, unless you don't want to take the 5 minutes it takes to grab an account. I mean, you haven't got to pay anything or anything. You just have to, do what you normally do, get a user ID, get a password, and that's it. You won't care. But the problem is that in a lot of the smaller countries of the world, and there's a lot, because I had a look at this list, and there's a lot, more than you think. If you're playing from these countries, you can't get a PlayStation account. So that means that come the end of May, you won't be able to play the game anymore.
Why do you have to have a PlayStation account?
Because all Sony's really said, well, it's up to them, but all Sony's really said is to, stop fraud and cheats and that's the kind of rhetoric they've used. Well, that's the rhetoric.
Bullshit.
That's the rhetoric.
What are you talking about?
That's the rhetoric they've used, dude. That's the rhetoric they've used.
No, that's just utter shite. They just want more people signing up for an account, right? Shut up, man. That fraud. How do people commit fraud with accounts?
Well, the delisting will be from over 100 countries. So this isn't a small amount. This is over 100 countries.
Right, but still, it's like
they've stopped people from buying it. Now they have anyway. I mean, if you've already bought it, I guess tough shit. But they're stopping people from buying it from over 170 Steam regions, which covers 100 different countries, where you're not allowed to create a legal PlayStation account.
Well, fuck Sony. I mean, they need to sort out their system. There's no point saying, "Oh, we need you to have an account because of fraud." It's just like, how do people commit fraud without having a Sony account with the game? That's total bollocks, and it winds me up because I think it's like they know it's bollocks. I know that they know it's bollocks, and they're just shutting out a lot of people just for a few hundred more new sign-ups.
Well, the company in question, the company who made the game, is Arrowhead Studios, and they're claiming it is not them who was doing this, and that it's coming from Sony.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I don't doubt that. I'm sick and tired of bad news. I'm sick and tired of bad games news, bro.
The thing is like I say, it's one of the rare like live service games that apparently isn't that bad, but they have to make it bad because they have to start screwing with it. It's like no, it actually has been received well, and apparently it's not that bad, and stuff like that. And then Sony comes along, it's like, oh, live service, you say? Oh, we can't be having a successful one of them. We've got to come in and start screwing with it.
Yeah, and you know, people haven't got Sony accounts, so let's make up some fucking bollocks and say, well, you have to have a Sony account because people are committing fraud and we're missing out and stuff.
Apparently, Steam are issuing refunds if you really pester them. So if there is anyone who, I mean, there's so many of these countries, you probably have to go and actually, I could read out every country, but it would take 10 minutes. So if you are someone who is in one of these smaller countries, make sure you have a look and make sure you grab your refund before the end of the month. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself unable to play the game anymore. So if there is anyone listening from some of the smaller countries, you know, like I say, there is a list online, and it is a long list. A very long list, and it's from all over the world. So it's Europe and Africa and stuff like that. I can see it all. Bermuda, Belarus, like I say, Bangladesh, the Bahamas, all these places. Cayman Islands, Cameroon, all these places, dude. I'm looking at them all now.
Sony are a bunch of dicks, mate. They're a bunch of dicks. Would Microsoft do that sort of thing? Don't know. Probably.
Oh, no, probably. Yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the PC, it's like that sort of shit just doesn't happen. So, there's so, as the days roll by, there are so many cons to owning a console, more than pros. Right? It's just like you're being landlocked into an economy, and you kind of have no choice.
It's going to get even worse when it goes full digital, bruv.
Well, yeah, and you know, on the PC space, you have a lot more freedom, and I prefer that freedom than sort of being locked into something.
That's fair enough, but I mean, a lot of people just can't afford the PCs, bruv, including me.
No, that's absolutely fine, and I really do sympathise with people who can't afford it. I mean, like, you could,
you have to save up
if you were brutal about your finances, yeah. But it's like as soon as you take that PC home, it's outdated. There's that to sort of consider. But if you know what you're doing, you know what you're looking for, then you can have a system that lasts 5-10 years. There's no, you know.
Well, my take on it is I more or less agree with what you said, Pete. It's Sony being Sony. Am I surprised? No. Do I think Microsoft's any better? No. They all want control. Again, what can you do about it? Not really. If you are in one of these countries, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. That's it. You're screwed. There's no other word to use. If you like that game, then you're screwed.
This is the way I see it, right? If you're going to fork out the equivalent of £500 on a console, then you could probably get a fairly decent PC for that price. And if that's the case, then you've got a lot more freedom than a console. So yeah, you have to watch out what you can run and stuff. It's slightly more work, whatever, but the freedom factor that you get and the fidelity of graphics that you can have is a lot better. So that's what I would say to people. Just just try and avoid buying consoles. Fuck the consoles.
I'm a bit surprised to see so many. I mean, I'm not a massive Sony fanboy. I'm not either a fanboy of each console, really. I think they're both as bad as each other when it comes to their decisions they make. But I'm very surprised to see that there's over 100 countries that, I mean, if you can't create a PlayStation account, I mean, I'm sure you can buy the PlayStations from other areas and ship them in. But if they've got to be online and stuff like that and you need an account, you can't play any games if you're in one of these areas then.
No, basically,
you can't make an account.
And is this something that's preluding to the state of the future with these kind of systems?
Well, it makes you think if it's all going to go digital, then I guess none of these places you won't be able to ever buy a PlayStation ever, because you'll never be able to buy any games because you won't have an account.
Yeah. So this is why we always believe that a digital only world is not a fucking good idea. God's sake.
There's places like Kenya, Jordan, Kazakhstan. There's just lots of places, they're not all places you haven't heard of. I mean, granted, there is some on this list that I haven't heard of. That's fair enough. But there's an awful lot of these countries that I've heard of that aren't these small kind of like, there's still a lot of people there. I don't know why, I'm not 100% why Sony is not looking at this.
Money.
Yeah.
Money. Fuck you, give me money.
Right then, well, with that being said, I guess we'll move on to our second story. And these two stories are the two games which we both played at least a decent amount of. Let's talk about the old man in the room. Good old Fallout 4, eh? The 10-year-old game Fallout 4, which of course is everything's new again. What old was new because of the Fallout TV show, which I've been told I would like, but I haven't seen yet. I might get around to it, but I've been told I would like it, since I do like the Fallout universe, so maybe I'll watch it. But as of right now, I haven't. But obviously, everything's Fallout now. So Fallout 76, apparently there's people now, still looks crap to me, but there's apparently that's gotten a decent bunch of new players now because of the TV show, and Fallout, all the Fallout games are all being played a lot more than normal. And that brings us to Fallout 4, which, to coincide with this, obviously, has been given a next-gen patch for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox S and X, I think. And the PC, as we're about to talk about, I'm not sure anyone on the PC wants to actually have this patch. In fact, one of the stories I have seen is that everybody's asking how can we not update Fallout 4 on the PC. So that's where we're at, where people don't want to update it on the PC. So it's on the consoles, obviously, like I said, and it does bring some improvement to the consoles. In the form of better performance within the frames per sec and the 4K resolution. It brings all that to both the PlayStation and the Xbox.
But there's even an issue with that, though, isn't there?
Yeah, the PlayStation apparently is actually okay. Like, there's no actual massive issue with that, but apparently the graphics, the quality setting on the Xbox One X doesn't work. So the performance setting does, but the graphics option doesn't. The quality graphics option doesn't work. So as of right now, you can only actually play on the performance mode, which won't bother me, but a lot of people are going to be very upset if they wanted more fidelity from that game. Now, I imagine it's going to be patched, but still, what does that tell you about Bethesda? That on a 10-year-old game, they can't even get that right.
Well, who's working there? A bunch of lobotomized gibbons? Or is it the management? What the hell is going on over there? I don't really get it, because it surely you learn from mistakes and you progress.
They don't learn. When do they learn? When?
Well, that's what should be happening. I mean, it's the very fact that they just don't improve. And it's a
10-year-old game, bro. And the modders have already came up with ways to run it at 60 anyway. They had some issues, but they've already done a lot of that already. So now it takes 10 years for Bethesda to do this. Of course, lines up with the TV show. Of course, it does. That already speaks for itself. We know why they're doing that. But again, they've fucked it. Again, they've fucked it.
Well, something else that they fucked is a lovely little epic mega mod called Fallout London.
Yeah, that's right.
Was due to be sort of showcased or trailered or something like a couple of days before
they didn't tell them,
the release of the patch. Yeah, they weren't told, and it's just pretty much broken everything that they've, because you have to have Fallout 4 installed or whatever to play it. But yeah, so it's completely fucked all of their work, and they've been working on it probably for the past 10 years.
A long time. I heard about that mod a long time ago.
Yeah, and it does absolutely look fantastic. I do kind of want to play it because it's London, isn't it?
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, so yeah, I mean, like, so fuck you, Bethesda, for not letting them know. It's like, come on, man. This is like you've been working on it for a year plus, and you haven't let them know.
I don't imagine it was a big crew working on it. And to be honest, the rumours of this next gen update, I remember hearing 2 years ago. So
2 years then.
Yeah, so it's been in the works for a long time. Now, I can't imagine it's a big crew of people. It probably is a skeleton crew, to be honest. I doubt it's going to be high on their priority. They might have bumped up it. They might have bumped up its priority once the Fallout TV show and once they knew when that was coming out, because it's common sense that you release this show, chances are you're going to get more people playing your game. So I understand why they might have bumped up resources to make it sure it was finished by then, but we're still talking at least 2 years, if not longer, of working on this. And how can they get something that is so paramount to the main reason why it's being released? Which there's bug fixes still. That's fine. That stuff is all fine. But the main reason people are going to go back to this game on their new consoles is to either play it at a better resolution or to play it with better graphics. I mean, that the game is more or less the same. So that's the reason why people are going to go back to it, because it's going to look better or it's going to run better. They're going to get a better experience. And half of that on the Xbox is just not there, because the graphics part is not there. It is not currently working.
It's completely non-existent on the PC. It's like it's a complete waste of time.
The PC, like I said, there's no point even updating it on the PC. You don't update it on the PC. That's it. You don't do that. You try not to update it on the PC because it breaks all your mods.
Well, to be honest, it's kind of a shit game anyway. Just purely for the reason that you have a construction mode, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, I know you hated that, didn't you? You hate the fact that
it's a survival game. What the hell are you doing introducing a construction mode? Oh, it still bothers me, man. It really does.
No, I mean I've said before on our cast that Fallout 3, even though a lot of people don't like Fallout 3, to me, maybe because it was just my entry point, and it was one of my first kind of open worlds that I experienced, a 3D open world anyway, like that Fallout 3 left a big imprint on me. And the drop off in quality from Fallout 3 to 4, even though graphically it looked a bit better, but let's not get carried away. It wasn't a massive jump. It looked a bit better, but
at today's standards, it looks embarrassing.
Oh yeah, of course it does.
Especially with 76, it's like it looks really bad. And they sort of were claiming that it was like 16 times the detail. It's like, no, it isn't, dude. It is just literally ticking off corporate targets. They don't care about us, bro. If they cared about us, they would put more effort into what they're doing, and they don't at the moment. When ZeniMax released Elder Scrolls Online, that fucked up the next Elder Scrolls game. That's the reason why we haven't got an Elder Scrolls 6 yet. Yeah, that's because of Elder Scrolls Online. When Elder Scrolls Online finishes its yearly updates or whatever, then we'll have Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, they were given 15 years or whatever it is that it's been out, and that was ZeniMax is doing. Why? Because of money. So it's like ZeniMax has probably thinned out Bethesda Game Studios so much to the point where Todd Howard just, I don't even necessarily think it's his fault anymore. He's been told what to do, and as long as he gets paid, he kind of just has resigned to the fact that he doesn't give a shit. But they know that they have to get Elder Scrolls 6 right, or they're fucked as a company.
So I agree with you, but on the Fallout front, if you're somebody who is, not maybe more on the casual gamer side, and you've seen the Fallout show, and it's like, oh, well, I like this world they've created, without knowing that there's a video game. What game did Pete do you tell them to play? What Fallout game do you tell them to play if they're just coming from the TV show? Which one?
Wastelands.
Well, the 476. You tell them to actually play Fallout 76.
No. I would just tell them to play a completely different game.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
3.
I thought you were talking about the expansion for Fallout 76 Wasteland.
No, fuck that. Just say no. Just ditch it, mate. I mean, like either Fallout 3 and accept the graphics as they are, and try to mod it, or just fucking ditch the franchise altogether for now. And move over to Wastelands 2 and 3 and other games like that.
So you tell them to go get yourself a decent PC and then mod the fuck out of Fallout 3?
If not, then just get Wastelands 3 because that'll pretty much run on every system. So
so if there is anyone out there who is coming in that predicament, Pete tells you to play Wasteland, which isn't a bad shout. It's telling like a turn-based.
It's a good game. It's brutal. It's not easy. And if you like your challenge, then go for it.
I'd tell you to do Fallout 3. I'm a little biased because, like I say, I've got such a affinity for that game because of when I played it. But if it is Fallout 3, it is an old game. It is a very old game now. So you're going to have to try and ramp up the graphics. But there's also shitloads of mods for it because it's had so much support. So you can find a lot of mods.
If you're not a graphics whore like I am, then go for the first two.
The first two are very clunky, but if you don't mind that stuff, then
great stories.
Yeah, very
great
good.
story. Yeah.
Okay, well that's another failure from Bethesda with Fallout 4. Thanks a lot, Bethesda, because I actually wouldn't mind going back to it and playing it in 60 and all that stuff, but I may wait until whatever else is wrong with it until you decided to patch it another 10 times. Yeah, so our last breaking news, I suppose, is that Starfield, our old friend, our old buddies Bethesda's latest masterpiece, in quotations, Starfield, that most people have forgotten about. Not everyone, but most have. And there is a new patch coming in. Again, this is mainly going to be for consoles. And they are finally giving us console players the opportunity to decide the frame rate or frame rate. Let me get the quotations
Clarify
right.
it properly.
Yeah. Prioritize the frame rate. So they're not kind of guaranteeing that you're going to get 60. The idea is we're going to try to give you 60, all right? Because obviously on these planets there's nothing there except rocks. So obviously the system can't handle giving you 60 when it's got so much to display, such as barren landscapes and caves.
Oh, such a lot to display.
Yeah, so we won't be lucky enough to get 60 frames per second in those busy areas. Yeah, so but no, apparently you get to prioritize the aim of the frame rate. So obviously the two choices are 30 or 60, right? So it already does 30, so of course you're going to try to get 60, right? And then if you want, you can, apparently if you've got FRR, and I asked you, Pete, what that was, because I don't know what that is. Apparently you can set to uncapped frame rate, which is interesting.
FRR, frame rate, something. But how's that? I mean, we'll have to wait for Digital Foundry. Unless they've come out with the video already. I don't know. I tend to watch their podcasts when they come out. But again, it's just too little too late. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? It's like, why wasn't it released like this? They said, oh, this is a game that we've been wanting to make ever since we started the company, and this is going to be our magnum opus, and all this kind of thing. It's like, okay, I appreciate the shipbuilding mechanic, but it's like Lego. All you're doing is just putting bits of Lego together. It's not really very diverse. And the way they big it all up, and then you sort of, okay, yeah, well, let's jump in our spaceship and fly. Oh, we have to watch a cutscene to fly out of the planet.
Oh yeah, they're not changing any of that stuff.
Yeah. That was a fundamental fuck up, as far as I'm concerned. That they should have said, okay, right in the production stages or the pre-production stages, we have to have all of this flowing, like Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. But it's such a difficult thing to do. I mean, like if Hello Games can do it, why can't Bethesda do it? I mean, Star Citizen is inventing brand new technology to get it done at the level of fidelity that it is, and that's taken them 10 years. So what's the issue? I mean, like, if this is your magnum opus, what the fuck is this game? It's complete. You land on the planet, and it's like it's a 2x2 kilometer area because we can't have it all fully open world. But there's nothing there.
No.
It's like I'd understand if there was shit everywhere and stuff like that, buildings and fights and skirmishes, etc., alien species like in No Man's Sky that we can meet but there's nothing. It's literally barren, and it still struggles to reach 60 on a console which is like
the most powerful console. Remember, Pete. Apparently, this is the most powerful console ever made, Pete.
It's 12 teraflops. It's 12 teraflops. And my PC is 15, I think, and I can still get more juice out of it. I don't understand what Bethesda's doing.
And the thing is, we just spoke about Fallout 4 and how they fucked that up, right? So even if this patch comes out, do you honestly think, with Bethesda's continuously great track record, that it's going to do what it says on the tin?
No, of course it's fucking not.
So they're going to fuck something, aren't they?
Yeah, because they always do.
Well,
it's never like, like here's a surprise drop of like epic content. We've got 12 races for you to discover, and they're never going to do that, man. As I said, they're bowing down to these ZeniMax overlords, and I just I'm sick and tired of corporations ruling over games companies. Sick of it.
Well, I played Starfield not as much as you did, and I played it on the Xbox, so I did have to suffer with 30 frames per second, even though I'm in space and there's like a couple of ships moving around, and then there's a JPEG of a planet in front of me, and apparently that can only be done at 30 frames per second. Yeah, right. And then also landing on planets, the majority of which is just rocks and sand. Apparently that's too much for the Xbox to handle.
And the gall that Todd Howard said, "Oh, you go get a more powerful PC." The gall of that statement, it was just like, wow.
If I would have been the host, I would have said, nah, mate, make your games better.
This interview's over. Cut this interview. This is over. Get the fuck out of my fucking room, bitch. What the hell, man?
Look, I'll give it a look-see, and nothing more. Because, as you've just said, it's not going to fundamentally change the design of the game, which is really where the problem is at. The 30 frames per second, 60 frames, yes, it made it even worse for me. But even if it is 60, and it won't be buttery smooth 60, it won't, because that engine struggles, right?
Yeah.
So even if it does run better, which I'm hoping it will, long term, that ain't going to be enough for me to go back into the game and have to do some of the mundane tasks that they expect you to do. But maybe it would motivate me to get through the story like you kind of did, and just say screw the so-called exploration, because it doesn't exist. Maybe that's enough to make me go, okay, I'll just see what the story is, have low expectations, and play it through. Maybe that's what it will do for me. Maybe.
Honestly, that's the best you can do with that game is to just do the quests, ignore the exploration.
It goes against my being, though, as such a fan of the whole space exploration. It goes against my being.
I know, Yeah, I know. With Bethesda, it's just like Bethesda make exploration games. You can't do that with this one because there's just nothing to explore. It's just another rock. Oh, wow. Okay. How nice.
Another cave to go into with the same people in there. Okay.
It was so released incomplete. It was clearly like, okay, we're going to work on this, and then after a period of time, ZeniMax was just like, no, you need to get this game out. You've got another year. I said, like, but it's not ready. And you can see that it's completely sort of half-cocked, you know.
Well, I guess that does it, Pete. I mean, there's two stories, and yeah, they're both from Bethesda, and they both reek of the same kind of problem. Bethesda just failing the landing as they always do, but never learning their lessons.
Yeah.
And will they ever change? I have my doubts.
It's like a gymnast on the long beam in at the Olympics, right? They do like a whatever it is, a big move, and they do their final landing, and they just face plant. That's exactly what it is.
Pretty much. And that engine needs to change, and there's so much stuff that they have to work on that Elder Scrolls 6 I'm pretty much have no anticipation for. I'll be mightily shocked if it ends up being, especially on release, anything of value. Now, maybe a year worth of patches. Maybe then I'll pick it up when it's had a year worth of patches to make it in a finished article. But a day one release of that game, Pete, I know you'll get it anyway because I know your love of the Elder Scrolls. But my God, just think of the state of what that game's probably going to be in.
Well, I hope it's not going to be in a state at all, but I tell you, it's a fool's hope.
Well,
yeah, not excited. I'm not you. I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, I'll get, I'll start pitching a tent if there's a sort of a trailer during, one of the game awards or whatever. But it's, that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Well, those are our three news stories we've picked up, guys. So, tell us what you think in comments, and please leave us a like.
I do have maybe some nice news because we have literally just spent 33 minutes just sort of like bitching about Bethesda and whatever, right? So I do have some stuff which might be quite nice. Now, I heard about this on the Digital Foundry grapevine, and so there was a conference at GDC and GTC, the Games Development Conference and the Tech Development Conference, and so basically you have what's called, I mean, everyone knows about ray tracing and stuff, and you have the ultimate of what ray tracing is, and that's called path tracing. Now, the difference between normal ray tracing and path tracing is just astronomical. If you want a good idea of what that does, then go and watch some cyberpunk videos on YouTube showcasing the difference. Now, as far as I know, Cyberpunk is really the only game that has path tracing as an experimental feature. You do need, at this moment, a fucking NASA computer to get it to run at 30, but it looks just real. It looks amazing. Path tracing is not designed for real time, but at these conferences, we've had some engineers and stuff talk about the future of path tracing, which they hope in conjunction with NVIDIA and AMD that they can get running a lot quicker and sort of more towards a sort of like a real time. So this is really sort of the next step of graphical fidelity, is getting path tracing running in real time. Now, Unreal Engine is already starting to embrace it. I've discovered that the next iteration, 5.5 and beyond, may start incorporating these features. So it's really exciting because I recently just bought a 4060 RTX, and yeah, it's the lower end of the 4 series, but I've noticed like a few generational leaps in graphical performance and stuff. So having something like path tracing, which I've experimented with, but it's just too slow. having that running at real time is huge. And getting to the point, CD Projekt Red is apparently embracing it, and they've planned ahead for it. And for the next releases, Witcher 4 and their other Witcher games or whatever, right? This unannounced IP that they've got may well be embracing that. And so I'm really, really fucking excited with the clarity of Unreal Engine games of the future, because it's just, it's incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. This Captain America game that was showcased at the State of Unreal a few weeks back was just stunning. The metahumans, the clarity of them. It's just all really exciting. So I'm expecting huge things from the next Witcher game, and I can't wait for Witcher 4. So
Okay.
so that's something nice and positive, I think, that to end on there.
Well, hopefully, Project Red will, like you say, incorporate it into. I mean, we both want The Witcher 4 out tomorrow, but hopefully they take their time, and if they can incorporate that would be great.
No, I would want to wait for Epic Games and Unreal to sort of get all this tech streamlined and working and stuff, so that we have real time path tracing for the next series of GPUs or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff.
All right then. Well, there we go. There is some. It's not all negative, guys. There's a lot of crappiness still going around that you just have to accept with today's games, unfortunately. But there's also some things, as Pete just said there, to look forward to. So let's hope we can have some more of that. So we'll plod on, and I suppose that's it for today's show. Please leave us a like and a comment about Helldivers and Fallout 4 and Bethesda and Starfield, if anyone's still playing that. Let us know what you think, if it's going to make a difference or not. Yeah, but please, leave us a comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again, Pete.
Yeah, cool. No worries, man. See you guys later.
Yeah, take care.